Welcome in, everybody. Get ready. We're about to take a deep dive into the world of red teaming.
Red teaming.
Yeah, it's a fascinating approach to decision making.
It is.
And we're going to unpack some really cool techniques from the UK Ministry of Defence's Red Teaming Handbook,
Wow.
third edition, published in June 2021.
Okay.
So,
It's interesting how this handbook goes beyond what we typically think of as a red team.
right.
That separate group brought into challenge plans.
Right. And that's what's so exciting about this deep dive.
Yeah.
We'll be exploring two key aspects from the source. Those quick, everyday critical thinking skills they call the red team mindset, and the more formal red team approach for larger complex problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the handbook even defines red teaming as the independent application of a range of structured,
Okay.
creative, and critical thinking techniques to assist the end user make a better informed decision or produce a more robust product.
Robust, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Very descriptive. And the handbook isn't just theoretical. It's full of real-world examples from the Challenger disaster
Oh, wow.
to the Yom Kippur War, all showing how red teaming could have changed the course of history.
Wow.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of changing the course of history,
Okay.
one of the first things the handbook addresses is the need for red teaming.
Okay.
And the answer, as you might have guessed, lies in the way we think.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So,
What do you mean by that?
well, as humans, we're all susceptible to cognitive biases.
Okay.
Those predictable patterns of thinking that can lead to flawed decisions.
Flawed decisions, got it.
They're like blind spots.
Okay.
We don't even know we have.
So it's like red teaming gives us a superpower to see those blind spots.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the handbook actually breaks down the decision-making process into 4 phases where those biases can really trip us up.
Oh.
Information gathering,
And-
sense-making,
Mhm.
decision-taking, and planning.
Got it.
But that's where red teaming techniques can come in handy.
All right, let's get to the practical stuff. I'm all about those actionable tips we can use in everyday life.
Right.
What kind of red team mindset techniques does the handbook highlight?
Well, one that really stood out to me is called everyone speaks once before someone speaks twice.
Okay.
Senior speak last.
Okay.
It sounds simple,
Yeah.
but the handbook uses the Challenger disaster to illustrate how powerful this technique can be.
Wait, the Challenger disaster. I remember learning about that in school, but how does that connect to red teaming?
You remember how the engineers who knew about the faulty O-rings didn't speak up forcefully enough?
Yeah.
The handbook suggests that deference to authority played a big role in that tragedy.
Wow.
This technique helps level the playing field and ensures all voices are heard,
Okay.
even in hierarchical settings where people might hesitate to speak up.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So it's about creating a space where everyone feels safe to challenge assumptions,
Yes.
even if it means disagreeing with someone more senior.
Exactly. And this isn't just about avoiding disasters.
Right.
It's about tapping into the collective intelligence of a group.
Okay.
Imagine the potential for innovation if everyone feels empowered to share their ideas.
Love that. So what other red team mindset techniques can we add to our mental toolkit?
Well, another fascinating one is issue redefinition.
Issue redefinition.
Yeah.
Okay.
The handbook uses the example of the Tet Offensive.
Ah, the Tet Offensive.
Yes.
During the Vietnam War.
Right.
A major turning point in the war.
The U.S. military was so fixated on the idea that the Viet Cong would attack a specific base
Uh-huh.
that they missed crucial warning signs of a much larger attack.
So they were looking at the problem too narrowly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Issue redefinition encourages us to step back and ask,
Okay.
what if we're wrong about the problem itself?
Oh, interesting.
This can help uncover information we might otherwise overlook.
Okay.
And this isn't just for military strategists. You
Yeah.
could apply this in your own life. Next time you're facing a challenge, ask yourself, what if the opposite is true?
Yeah.
This can open up new possibilities
Okay.
and help you make more informed decisions.
That's a really helpful tip.
Yeah.
I'm already starting to see how these red teaming techniques can be applied in so many different contexts.
Absolutely. And here's another classic.
Okay.
What if analysis?
What if analysis?
So it's all about exploring potential outcomes,
Okay.
even those that seem unlikely.
Okay, but doesn't that lead to endless possibilities?
Sure.
How do you make what if analysis practical?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
The key is to focus on plausible scenarios,
Okay.
not just wild guesses.
Right.
And to illustrate this, the handbook highlights the devastating impact of Hurricane Katrina.
Oh, yeah.
Even though there were warnings about the levees potentially failing,
Right.
people became desensitized to the risk.
Yeah.
A simple what-if exercise could have uncovered the potential for catastrophic loss,
Wow.
prompting better preparedness.
So it's about playing out those what-if scenarios
Mhm.
and considering the potential consequences, even if they seem far-fetched.
Yeah,
I can definitely see how this could be helpful, not just for disaster preparedness, but for any kind of planning or decision-making.
exactly.
Okay, so what
And
else?
finally, there's structured self-critique.
Okay.
This one resonated with me because it addresses our natural tendency to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
We all have biases even if we don't realize it.
right.
So how does structured self-critique help with that?
Well, the handbook uses the example of the MMR vaccine controversy,
Oh, yeah.
where a flawed study linked the vaccine to autism.
Right.
And even though it was thoroughly debunked, the fear persisted.
Because people clung to that initial study
Yeah,
that confirmed their pre-existing concerns.
exactly.
Right.
Structured self-critique encourages us to actively look for evidence that contradicts our beliefs,
Right.
even if it feels uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
It's about asking tough questions, like, what if I'm wrong?
Uh-huh.
What evidence contradicts my view?
Yeah.
This helps us challenge our assumptions and make more objective decisions.
Wow, this red team mindset stuff is really powerful.
And the beauty of it is that you don't need any special training or expertise to start using these techniques.
All right.
It's all about cultivating a more critical and creative way of thinking.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm already feeling more prepared to tackle those blind spots.
good.
But what about those larger, more complex problems where a dedicated red team might be needed?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the world of formal red teaming next.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So for those of us who aren't running top secret missions, when does it make sense to assemble a dedicated team for this kind of critical thinking?
Yeah.
When do we actually need a formal red team?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The handbook explains that when you're dealing with larger, more complex problems,
Mm-hmm.
think strategic planning, product development,
Okay.
even organizational change. Got it.
A formal red team can provide that extra layer of objectivity
Okay.
and challenge that's hard to achieve internally.
It's like having a built-in devil's advocate.
Yes.
But with more structure and expertise.
Exactly. They bring a fresh perspective,
Yeah,
often with expertise that your in-house team might not have.
makes sense.
Imagine, for instance, you're a company developing a new product.
Okay.
A formal red team could help you anticipate market trends,
Uh-huh.
competitor moves,
Right.
even potential ethical considerations that you might miss if you're too close to the project.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But imagine there are downsides to formal red teams too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The handbook is very honest about the potential pitfalls.
Okay. Like what?
Formal red teams can be resource intensive.
Okay.
They take time to assemble,
Right.
manage,
Ah.
and integrate their findings.
Plus, I bet they can sometimes ruffle feathers, especially if their findings challenge deeply held beliefs within an organization. You hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
The handbook mentions potential for resentment from the home team
Right.
if the red team's critique isn't handled well.
Yeah.
And there's also the risk of a red team being used selectively
Oh.
just to rubber stamp a predetermined outcome instead of genuinely challenging assumptions.
So it sounds like finding the right balance is key.
Yes.
Making sure a red team is used effectively,
Oh.
ethically,
Yes.
and with a genuine openness to their findings.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, good.
And here's a crucial point the handbook emphasizes.
Okay.
Whether it's a mindset or a formal team,
Yeah.
the principles of good red teaming remain the same.
Okay, so what are those core principles?
The handbook lays out a few key points.
Okay.
Setting a clear objective for the red team's work,
Uh-huh.
creating a safe and open environment where they can voice their concerns without fear of reprisal,
Okay.
encouraging challenge, even if it's uncomfortable,
Right.
promoting flexibility and adaptability, and most importantly, approaching the process with humility.
I love that last one.
Yeah.
Approaching it with humility.
Yes,
It's a good reminder that we all have blind spots no matter how smart or experienced we are.
precisely.
Okay.
And the handbook even encourages injecting a bit of humor into the process.
Okay.
A little levity can go a long way in making red teaming more engaging and productive.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So let's say we've decided a formal red team is the way to go.
Okay.
What are some of the techniques they might use to tackle those complex problems?
Right.
What tools do they have in their arsenal?
The handbook outlines several advanced techniques,
Huh.
and they're incredibly interesting.
Okay.
One that particularly stands out is cone of plausibility.
Okay, I'm picturing a giant cone filled with all sorts of
This is
possibilities.
a great visual.
But what does it actually entail?
Imagine this.
Okay.
The cone of plausibility uses the PESTLE framework.
Pestle, well, that rings a bell.
Yes.
Doesn't it stand for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors?
You got it.
Oh,
It's a way of systematically analyzing all these different forces that could shape a situation.
right.
The cone part comes in because it encourages you to map out a range of plausible scenarios,
Okay.
from the most likely at the narrow end
Got it.
to the least likely, but still possible at the wider end.
So instead of just fixating on the most obvious outcome,
Yeah,
you're forced to consider a spectrum of possibilities.
exactly.
Okay.
This helps anticipate a wider range of contingencies
Yeah.
and avoid being blindsided by unexpected developments.
Yeah.
The handbook actually provides a really compelling example in Annex A,
Okay.
where they apply this technique to a hypothetical crisis scenario. It shows just how powerful it can be for strategic planning.
I can see how that would be incredibly valuable,
Yeah.
especially in a world that's constantly changing and full of surprises. It's
Right.
like having a crystal ball,
Yeah,
but one grounded in real-world analysis.
right.
Okay, cool.
It's about making more informed decisions by acknowledging the range of possibilities,
Yeah.
not just the ones we want to believe.
Okay, what other advanced techniques should we know about?
Another fascinating one is analysis of competing hypotheses,
Oh, okay.
or ACH.
ACH.
This is where things get really intriguing.
Ooh, this sounds like something straight out of a spy movie.
Well, imagine you're trying to figure out the cause of a complex event.
Okay.
You have multiple theories,
Right.
multiple suspects,
Uh-huh.
multiple pieces of evidence that don't quite fit together.
Okay.
ACH provides a structured way to test those different hypotheses,
Okay.
weigh the evidence, and ultimately arrive at a more informed conclusion.
So it's about avoiding that trap of latching onto the first good enough answer.
Right.
The one that seems to fit our initial assumptions.
ACH forces you to consider all the possibilities,
Okay.
even those that might seem unlikely at first glance.
Right.
It's a systematic way to challenge your own biases
Got it.
and avoid jumping to conclusions.
This is giving me a whole new appreciation for the complexity of intelligence work
Yeah,
and how red teaming can help navigate that uncertainty.
right.
But it also makes me wonder,
Yeah,
how can these techniques be applied outside of intelligence agencies?
sure.
Can we use them in our everyday lives?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore more as we delve deeper into the practical applications of red teaming.
It's amazing to think that these techniques used by intelligence agencies in the military can actually be applied to our own lives.
Right?
It's like we've been given this incredible mental toolkit
Yeah.
to level up our decision-making skills.
And the beauty of it is you don't need a fancy title
Right.
or top secret clearance to put these techniques into practice.
Exactly. Whether you're leading a team, planning a project,
Right?
or just trying to make sense of the news.
Yeah.
The principles of red teaming can be so valuable.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
We're bombarded with information every day.
Oh, yeah.
News, social media, opinions from every direction.
It's overwhelming. Yeah. Sometimes I just want to unplug.
Developing a red team mindset can help us sift through all that noise
Right.
and arrive at more informed conclusions.
It's almost like becoming your own fact checker,
Uh-huh.
constantly asking those critical questions. What assumptions am I making? What other perspectives am I missing? What if the opposite is true?
Precisely. And remember those techniques we talked about?
Yeah.
Issue redefinition, structured self-critique,
Right.
even the what-if analysis,
Yeah.
they can all be applied to everyday situations.
I'm thinking about that example from the handbook about the invisible gorilla experiment.
Right.
It's mind-blowing how we can be so focused on one thing that we completely miss something else right in front of us.
It's a perfect illustration of how our brains can trick us,
Right.
even when we think we're paying attention.
Yeah.
But the good news is red teaming techniques can help us break free from those mental tunnels
Okay.
and see the bigger picture.
And that's what I find so empowering about red teaming.
Yeah.
It's not about being cynical or negative.
It's about embracing curiosity, challenging assumptions, and being open to new information.
Right.
It's about becoming more resilient, more adaptable,
Yeah.
and frankly, more interesting thinkers.
You've really captured the essence of it.
Think.
Red teaming is about embracing that sense of intellectual humility,
Yeah.
recognizing that we don't have all the answers and that there's always more to learn.
And who knows?
Yeah.
By applying these principles, we might uncover hidden opportunities,
Right.
avoid those costly mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even discover something new about ourselves along the way.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of red teaming,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this challenge.
Okay.
How can you apply these principles to your own life?
That's a great challenge.
Think about it. Is there a decision you're wrestling with right now?
Yeah.
A project at work that could benefit from a fresh perspective?
Yeah.
Maybe even a conversation you've been avoiding?
Challenge yourself to approach those situations with a red team mindset.
I like it.
Ask those tough questions. Seek out diverse perspective.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to play devil's advocate, even to yourself.
That's great advice.
And you know what?
What's that?
We'd love to hear about your red team moments.
Oh, yeah.
Those times when you use these techniques to make a better decision,
Right.
see a problem differently, or even just have a more productive conversation.
Uh-huh.
Share your stories with us on social media.
Yes. Let's keep this conversation going.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see how these principles can be applied in so many different ways.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of red teaming.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time,
Yes.
keep those critical thinking caps on.
Absolutely.